Hi, everyone. Hi. So today I am solo dolo, and I have a topic that I have always wanted to talk about. So that's what we're going to do. So before I get started, please like, share, and subscribe. Like, share, subscribe, and remember to drop your comments in the comments, and we will talk about them on screen, on air. All right. So we're in this together. All right. So today's theme is Halloween is over. Over. Take off your mask. So Halloween was Monday. Halloween was Monday. Did you dress up and have a costume? I don't know. But it's Wednesday, it's November. It's time for you to take off your mask. Now, I'm not talking about this mask, not this one. But what I'm talking about is the mask you put on every single day before you leave the house, sometimes before you leave your bedroom. We want you to take off the mask. Take off the mask. We're taking off our costumes and we are living life from here on out as our authentic selves. So let's talk about this. Sometimes we get up, we go to work, we put on a mask. We come home to our kids and to our family, we're wearing a mask. We're in our community and we're wearing a mask, and we do not feel like we can show up as our authentic selves. Does anyone that's watching, put it in the chat. Have you ever felt like you aren't allowed or you can't or you don't feel comfortable showing up as your authentic self? Drop it in the chat. So my question for you today is, are you showing up as you, or are you showing up how you think others want you to show up? Which one? And I am no exception, right? So I have spent years trying to feel comfortable showing up as my authentic self. So let me tell you how you know if you're wearing a mask. How do you know if you're wearing a mask? Are you constantly having interactions that are exhausting you because you are trying to put forth effort to be who you think they want you to be? Yes. And Tamara hit on a point that I'm going to hit on, especially as a Black woman in corporate America. I got it. I knew it was a Black woman. But do you feel like you can show up as your authentic self as a Black woman in corporate America? Are you questioning why you do or do not do certain things? Right? So have you ever had a conversation like, why did I agree to do that? Why didn't I say what I really want to say? Why am I holding back? And then do you feel like sometimes like I don't even know who I am anymore? I spent all this time being who I thought everyone else wanted me to be, but that to the point that I don't even know who I am. And then also, do you feel like you can't relax and breathe until you get home by yourself? Sometimes just in your bedroom. Right? I know some parents go hide in the bathroom. Do you feel like you can't breathe or be yourself until you're alone? These are signs that you may be wearing a mask. Let's look at what Grace said. I cannot be my true self at work. I would get fired if I did. I am loud and silly in real life. Hey, there's nothing wrong with being loud and silly. And that's what I feel like, especially as you guys bring up work. I feel like that's one of the things on my list. Like, you should be able to show up as your authentic self at work. And so let's discuss authentic self, because I don't communicate the same way to my child as I communicate to a partner. I don't communicate to my partner the same as I communicate to my friends. I don't communicate to my friends the same way I communicate at work. But it's important to me to always show up as authentic. So, of course, when you are approaching different people, you may have certain different styles, right? So I may talk to my child in one style. I may talk to my friend like, hey, girl, like maybe a totally different style. But am I being true to my values? Can I be myself? Can I show my goofiness in one way or another? or my silliness? And then do I feel like I project to be who I really truly am? Can I share my authentic thoughts with these people, my authentic feelings? And Tamar says, yes, it is mentally exhausting. It is, it's exhausting. So what I'm saying is we just throwing away the mask. Okay. We're gonna burn them. I don't know what you want to do. You want to burn them? You want to tear them up? We getting rid of the mask before we walk into the new year. Okay. So what mask do you wear? And I have a list of some, but drop some in the chat. What mask do you wear? Mask number one, a perfectionist. Are you constantly trying to project that you have it all together all the time and everything has to be perfect and everything has to go just right? Are you constantly projecting that? And that is definitely exhausting. Are you projecting that? Now, everybody know you're not perfect. Everybody, I'm not perfect. No one is perfect. But sometimes we invest a lot of energy in trying to be perceived as perfect. All right. Look at Grace. Grace said, I just thought about it. I'm not myself around friends or of friends either. I hold back for people who don't really know me. Yes, I think I connect to that a lot, especially being an introvert and being shy a lot of times. I find myself kind of getting in my shell when I'm around people I don't know. All right. Okay. So, perfectionist, are you projecting or trying to project this? I have it all together. Everything is perfect. Don't worry about me. Everything is fine. Type of vibe. Is that the vibe you're putting out? Number two, and this one is a whole conversation for me, and I want to have a whole conversation about what it means to be a professional. A professional. The mask of being a professional, especially as was mentioned before, being a Black woman in the workplace. What does it mean to be professional? Because a lot of times it means suppressing certain parts of ourselves. So I can give you an example. An example for me is I'm from Southern Georgia. And so I used to be so self-conscious because when I moved to the city, they started calling me Paula Dean because I was like, hey, y'all. And I felt so self-conscious about it. But now I just say, hey, I'm from South Georgia. So you may hear some words that's not words. And if you don't know what it means, ask me. And I say that at work. I say that in the community. I say that because just because I was quote unquote country doesn't mean I'm not professional. Professional to me means handling my business, right? It doesn't mean that I have to code switch or I have to pretend to be someone I am not, right? I'm not from New York. I don't talk proper. That's just not who I am. So for me, when we talk about professional, I think a lot of standards have been put and a lot of weight has been put on being professional. When to me, professional is like, do I handle my business? Can I interact with others? All the other stuff that's put on professional, hair, right? Hair, makeup, what do you wear? Yeah, I get it. Some stuff you may not want to wear to work, but I feel like way too much emphasis has been put on that. And especially when you look at minorities and women, you're going to see a lot of weight be put on professionalism that's not put on white males, right? In the office place. So let's get through this list. Professionalism. Are you putting on a professional mask? Are you code switching when you go to work? Number three, positive. And that's going to sound so crazy, but positivity, it can be a mask. And I'm not saying being like positive by nature, right? But there are some times where we project so much positive energy that we neglect or dismiss our feelings or others. Does that make sense? I don't know if that makes sense to you guys. Like, we go to another one for work. We go to work. Well, how's this project going? Oh, it's going great. Now that the project is going horrible. Why do we all, or do you think we can do this? Yes, we can do this. Are you constantly putting up a positive front or a positive disposition? Not when you have to be negative, but when you could be real and authentic, right? Because we know there's going to be stuff we don't want to do. Sometimes things are going to go, well, how are you doing? I'm doing great. But you don't seem the same. Are you really doing great? Right? Are you really doing great? So are you putting on the mask that, okay, everything's positive, everything's always good? Number 4 is the helper or the problem solver. Are you wearing a mask where you always have to be the helper and the problem solver? Someone has a problem, they haven't asked you to solve it, you're trying to solve it, or you the person everyone goes to? That is heavy. You can't always be the person solving everything. And you may be like so amazing at it, but that is a heavy emotional weight. Are you always trying to appear to have the answers to everything? And the last one I want to say, and this may hit a nerve and maybe some psychologists will disagree with me, but are you wearing a happy mask? And I say that as someone who went through really hard times and basically depression, right? When I was going through a really hard time of losing my mom, and it got to a point where I couldn't wear the happy mask. But I found myself, going by the scripts of society. Hey, how you doing? Oh, I'm good. I wasn't good. I wasn't okay. And so when you put on that mask, it almost disconnects you from people being able to help you, from you acknowledging your feelings and dealing with those feelings. But you're wearing that mask of saying, oh, yeah, I'm happy. I feel like I have to project that I'm happy all the time. All right, I'm going to pause because we have like a million comments to catch up on, and I love it. Let's see. Miss Tamara said, ditch the mask and burn the capes. Wait, we're going to burn the capes? I guess we don't need a cape to be superheroes. We're already superheroes. I struggle with perfectionism and procrastination. Procrastination is a symptom of perfectionism, right? Because we feel like it has to be perfect, we never act. Because in our brains, we know nothing's ever going to be perfect. And so that perfectionism turns into procrastination. It's like, well, I can't do it now. I got to wait till the circumstances are perfect. It got to be perfect before I release it. It got to be perfect before I do this. And it turns into procrastination, which again is based in fear. All right. At work, my mask is quiet, professional. Alone in my office, I constantly push stuff off of my desk. Ma'am, that's a lot. I don't know if you should take off that mask. All right. I heavily censor myself at work, especially when I'm upset or angry. I don't want to fall into the angry Black woman stereotype. It is really ridiculous that I'm scared to show normal human emotions. No, I totally relate to that. And I found myself like being more honest at work. And sometimes it can be, it can get a little quiet. But it's like, how are things today? Things are hard. This was a hard day, right? I don't have to be angry when I say it. And sometimes I may say, I'm just working through it. I just need a moment to get through it. But being able to show up as your authentic self at work plays a huge part in the energy you bring home. It plays a big part of the energy you bring to work. It's like, oh, I got to go in here and pretend again. No, every office, as someone who works in HR, to me, every corporation should make it where people can be people. And that means people can have human feelings. And I didn't realize how much I weighed feeling like projecting that things were positive, projecting that I was all good. I have it all together. I have all the answers. It took too much energy. So over the last few years, I've started shedding all of these multiple masks I'm wearing. And now you get what you get, which is good, right? Because then not only am I able to rest at night because I've said my piece, but also the people I work for can also know you always know where you stand with me, right? You're going to know where you stand. You're going to get the truth of what's happening. And I may wait if I'm in a heightened emotional state, I may wait and cool down, right? I may wait and cool down, but it's probably going to come out, and I'm going to make it professional. I'm going to be communicative, but I'm going to be authentic. All right. So, how do we design our mask? So, I went to a growth, right? A personal growth seminar, which I always love. And one of the things they said everyone looks for, no matter if you realize it or not, is acceptance. So from the moment we're born till now, right, to the end of time, everyone wants to be accepted, appreciated, and loved, right, in some form or fashion. So we have designed our masks based on what we feel will help others accept us, right? So when I'm at work and I'm code switching, it's because I need my manager and my coworkers to accept me. When I'm in the community and oh my gosh, you guys should have seen how much stuff I was doing for PTSA, right? When I'm doing all of this stuff, technically I just wanted to do it, but there's also a part of it where it's like, okay, accept me, accept my ideas, accept that I'm here and my presence and that I have value. So we have learned through society, right? Societal norms. When we talk about professionalism, that's societal norms. When we've learned through entertainment, we've learned through family, role models, social media. We've learned from our bad experiences, our good experiences, our trauma. We've learned how to paint our mask so that people accept us. And at the heart of it, it goes to acceptance. What do you do for acceptance? You say yes to stuff you don't want to say yes to. Right? You say yes to stuff you don't want to say yes to. You bite your tongue and hold your feelings and swallow it and keep it all built up when you just need to say it. Right? So we do all types of things looking for acceptance, and we tolerate our mess because we've gotten a certain response for sometimes being people we are not. Yeah. So let's talk about this. We want to get rid of this mask, and I want to see your ideas for getting rid of your mask. This is the last little bit. I have 3 things I want you to do. 3 things that I suggest you do to remove your mask. And do not think you're going to walk out today and you're going to say, "Oh, I'm my authentic self." Sometimes we have to relearn our authentic selves. Oh my gosh. I know for parents, like your whole life changes, like, who am I? Let me figure out who I am again. What do I want? But I want you to practice radical authenticity. That does not mean being rude or nasty, right? Doesn't mean being rude or nasty. It means being authentic and being able to express your feelings, saying no when you want to say no, say yes when you want to say yes. It means expressing your feelings, not feeling like you have to hide your feelings, not feeling like you always have to put on a smile, right? You don't always have to be the problem solver. Be your authentic self. If you're tired, you're tired. Hey, I can't help you with this today. I am tired, right? It's okay. So practice radical authenticity. Number 2, I want you to practice honesty with others and with yourself. So you have to be honest with yourself about what you do and do not want to do and what you are doing. You have to be honest with yourself if you're showing up as yourself or if you're showing up as someone else, but you also need to be honest with the people around you. So honesty is a gateway to removing that mask. And the last one, and it all ties together, is boundaries. And I always say, you can set boundaries on other people, but you got to set boundaries on yourself. So set boundaries for yourself and for others, right? So if someone asks you for something at the last minute and you're like, well, I told you not to ask me at the last minute, then you tell them no. And then you also tell yourself, no, I know I usually do this behavior. My behavior is usually to react and to go do and make myself frustrated and, and exhaust myself. But no, set boundaries for yourself and say, no, my boundary is that I will not do this anymore. And your boundary is you don't come to me at the last minute. If you come to me earlier, I'll be happy to help. Whatever that boundary is, set that boundary for yourself and for others. So, in the chat, who is taking off their mask today? I wonder what's the biggest challenge to taking off your mask. I bet you that your biggest challenge would be, I think your biggest challenge is going to be if other people accept it and being okay if others don't accept you taking off your mask. Because life has a way of showing you who should and who shouldn't be in your life. I truly believe that. And so as you start to set boundaries, as you start to speak honestly, and the thing is, it's like honesty doesn't have to always be bad. It can be good as well. As you start to be just radically authentic and be your silly self in the office, why wouldn't someone be able to accept someone who is like having fun and showing happiness, right? Why wouldn't that? That's not a you problem. That's a them problem. So I wouldn't take on their problem. I probably would, but I wouldn't want to. That's what I'm working on. All right. When I take off my mask, people avoid. I do not believe that people avoid you. No, that's a them problem. Find your crowd. Nothing wrong with being silly, if that's what you're referring to. I think my biggest challenge will be setting and holding boundaries on myself. Yeah, because we always talk about what other people need to do, right? Oh, I need to set a boundary so they won't do this to me. And it's like, well, if you keep doing it, maybe you need to set the boundary on yourself. That's what I learned. I wasn't setting a boundary on myself. I made a TikTok video about something really simple. My sister called me, I was asleep. And I was like, I'm not answering the phone because I normally answer the phone in my sleep. Like, that's how bad. First of all, I just did it instinctually, but it's also how bad my boundaries were. It's like, I felt like, oh, I got to answer the phone. Like, what if something's going on? And I told myself, I'm not going to answer the phone because I'm asleep. Why am I answering the phone? And I told her, she was like, I don't know why you answer the phone when you sleep either. Right? So it wasn't even putting a boundary. She was calling me in the middle of the day, I think, or it was, late enough, but I was still asleep on the weekend. And so it wasn't even about putting a boundary on someone else. That was a boundary for me to set for myself. Silly and loud scares me. No. Oh gosh. What happened to them in their childhood that silly and loud scares them? I'm concerned. Grace, I'm concerned about them. All right, I'm about to close out. Any questions, comments, put them in the chat. As a reminder, we go live every Wednesday at 7:30. One special guest we're going to talk about the joy in creativity. I think that is going to be 2 weeks from now. And we will probably take a break for the holidays. Ooh, Grace, good one. People think it's immature. I don't know how to say this in a nice way, right? So when people think something immature, that's a judgment. But what's immature about having fun? I find that sometimes adults get really stuffy as they get older, and it's not necessary. Like, live and have fun. Immaturity to me has more to do with responsibilities than behaviors, unless your behaviors are irresponsible. But being silly and having fun and being loud, like, that's part of who you are. And so try to express that as much as you can. They need, and maybe as people get used to it, you'll actually create more fun people around you. So Maybe they can look at you and be like, oh, she can let loose a little bit. Maybe I can let loose too. Maybe. So you never know how when you're suppressing your authentic self, it could be you're not showing your gift to the world. You're not sharing yourself with the world. All right, guys. Well, remember, like, share, subscribe. We're getting into the holiday season. I don't know what's coming up, but we'll see. Thank you guys for tuning in. I'll see you next week. Bye.
I know it's much too late to say, with you is where